You're watching Past the Wire TV.
Ciao, everybody. Welcome back to Past the Wire TV for our Preakness wrap-up and takeaway show. Doing it a little early. I know I like to wait a couple of days most of the time, but I think I got a handle on what I want to say, and we want to move on to the Belmont. You know, it's that time. We're going to have the Belmont at Saratoga. We've already got Big Race Jim on the grounds to be joined by other strategic members of the team as we get closer to the race. But we'll have more on that later. And remember, you can bet the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival with Amwager, who's going to be riding with us throughout our coverage of the Belmont and all the undercard races and everything that's going to go into this festival up at Saratoga. But we got time for that. Let's reflect a little bit on the Preakness. Not a good day betting the Preakness for me. I liked Tuscan Gold and Imagination, and we'll come back to them. But before we do, huge milestone shout out, congrats to the coach Wayne Lukas. I mean, what could you say? I mean, I go back a long way in this game, and I think it was 1980, 79, 80, 81. I think it was 80 when Genuine Risk, the filly for Leroy Jolly, won the Kentucky Derby. And in the Preakness, I think it was the first major race, definitely the first Triple Crown race that Wayne Lukas won with Codex. Very, very controversial running of the Preakness. Angel Cordero rode Codex. Jacinto Vasquez rode Genuine Risk. I remember it like it was yesterday. I don't remember the year like it was yesterday, but I remember the race. Turn it for home. Angel drifted out a little bit, and what today people would be all over him for, and calling it hurting and a foul and blah blah blah. But back then it was really race riding, and nobody did it better than Angel. But he drifted out enough to intimidate Genuine Risk, not enough to intimidate her, not enough to be disqualified by the Baltimore, Maryland Pimlico stewards at the time after a very, very long look. Jacinto Vasquez said after the race, if Angel ever did that to him again, he would put him over the rail. Just, I guess, jockey talk. But it was a very controversial race. It was Wayne Lukas's first win in 1990, or it could be a year or two off. And now all these years and all these wins later, at 88 years old, I think, Wayne Lukas does it again with Seize the Gray, and does it in what I would say an unconventional manner, because like I said on our shows leading up to the race, I don't know of many horses that come out of the Pate Mile and win the Pate Mile that come back and win the Preakness. Off the top of my head, didn't look it up, but off the top of my head, that seems a little unique. So I salute Wayne. Phenomenal job. What can you say? Horse ran a big race. Can he come back and do it again in the Belmont? We'll see. I didn't think he could win the Preakness, and he fooled me. Horses will humble everybody. We're all wrong more than we're right, and I say that on all of our shows. And this is a race where I just read it wrong, and I don't like to make excuses, but we'll talk about what happened. Taking nothing away from the winner at all, I do believe if Muth runs, we see a different race. I think Muth would have been the speed and probably would have been the horse that went wire to wire, but we'll never know that, so it's just really speculation. He didn't run. He had a fever, so take nothing away from Seize the Gray. He seized the moment And, I ran into Wayne Lukas, I don't know, maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago at Gulfstream Park on one of the big days. It was either Pegasus Day, Florida Derby, Fountain. It was one of those big days. And I had a chance to chat with him for about 10 minutes. And, like I said, this is going back 7 or 8 years, and I don't think a lot has changed. But he was razor sharp as a tack, and he had to be 80 years old then. So, or right around it. So, I mean, hats off to the guy. What could you say? To at that stage of the game, for those of you who are not there, I'm not quite there yet, but just getting out of bed in the morning and making your coffee is an accomplishment, let alone getting to the barn as early as he does, training racehorses, getting on that pony, talking to people, doing all that he does. I mean, again, I salute Wayne. What a win. Made it a great 149th Preakness just because of that result. Even though my result was, wait, don't shut it off. Here he comes. Talk a little bit about the two horses I liked. We'll reflect a little bit about the Thorograph show. Tuscan Gold, I think I like the best. He did get bumped out of the gate. I don't believe he liked the racetrack. I'm not making an excuse for him. But I will say this. In my opinion, I will not be surprised if we see him back in the Belmont, maybe the Jim Dandy or the Travers. I still think he's a very good horse. I still think he's learning the game. I don't think the bump helped him, and I don't think he liked the racetrack. Now, he didn't show up. I'm not making an excuse, but that's what I believe. I think there's a good shot we see him in the Belmont. I don't know, but that's my gut feeling, especially if it's a fast track. They're running it at Saratoga at 1.25 miles. We know Chad Brown loves Saratoga. It's his hometown, backyard. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him face Chad's other horse, Sierra Leone, in that race. We'll see. They did run in the same maiden race first time out. So we'll see what happens. But far too soon for me to give up on Tuscan Gold. At this point off that race, especially the way the track played. And any of us would be mistaken to think that the rain and the track and the changing of the track and the changing of the weather throughout the day didn't have some kind of impact. Exactly, who and how it impacted everybody, will play out as time goes on. And, some of those answers we may never know, but it is what it is. Mystic Dan, he fooled me as well. I didn't think he was going to put another good one in there. He did, ran a big second. Hats off to Kenny McPeak. He knew his horse was ready to come back quick, and the horse ran good. The other horse that I liked a lot was Imagination, who I did think was going to be on the lead. And, watching the race, he hustled out of there. Frankie had him out there winging, looked like he was going to go, and then Frankie sat back, let Seize the Gray go, and kept his horse out in the middle of the track. And my first thought was, what's he doing? And then my second thought was, well, it's Frankie. He must know something I don't. He's got him out there in the middle and sitting off that other horse for a reason. I'm not going to worry about it too much. But that thought evaporated by the time they hit the backstretch, and I kind of knew I was in trouble with both my horses. I managed to be alive for a nice ticket in the All Dirt 2-day pick 5, which both were coming back for 50 cents, just shy of $2,000, but couldn't close the deal, and never really had a chance to really be in the fight. But it was a heck of a Preakness. It really was, only because of the performance Seize the Gray put in, coming off the Pat Day Mile on 2 weeks rest, and the fact that Wayne Lukas was able to get that done that way. Reflecting back on the Thorograph numbers, in the 2 years we've been doing these Thorograph shows and a lot of the big races, this was probably my worst reading of the sheets, Thorograph sheets, since we've been doing them. Didn't read him right. I did have reservations about imagination on the Thorograph numbers, but after the scratch and move and everything else I considered, I did think he could take a step forward. Tuscan Gold, I thought was going to take a step forward, and obviously didn't. I think the racetrack could have easily had something to do with that, but we're going to be wrong more than right, and this one was just one that we just could not get home, and we didn't. So it happens. It's part of the game. You got to learn to turn the page. You got to learn to roll with the punches. I like to be the second set of eyes, but I don't like to talk anybody out of their own opinion, and I don't think I ever do that, and I say that on all the shows and even in the seminars. Second set of eyes, sounding board, another opinion. I'd like to think a good opinion, and I like to think that a lot of you think a good opinion, but another opinion just the same. And now we move on to the Belmont. A lot of people have it that Sierra Leone is a foregone conclusion in that Belmont. And I'm not going to argue with anybody who thinks that. I think he's going to be awfully tough. And I do think that, if we see Tuscan Gold, that's going to be an interesting horse race. Now, Seize the Gray. Is he going to come back into Belmont? It's going to be interesting if he does. Wayne Lukas, he runs his horses a lot, and he doesn't miss many dances. And I've noticed over the past couple of years, going back to that nice filly he had a year or two ago, a lot of times his horses have trouble putting 2 or 3, good races together. Seize the Gray's done that. Lukas tends to have a lot of in and outers, but Seize the Gray kind of put that on the shelf, at least for his last 2. So we'll see if he shows up, if he can come back with another good race. And Mystic Dan coming out of the race, we'll see. Catching Freedom was running at the end, couldn't quite get up. Will we see him in the Belmont? I have a feeling we will. And he's another one that we don't know whether the track helped or hurt. It's a question mark. We'll find out. Mystic Dan, another one. We know he's got that big win on the off track. Did that help him run back in 2 weeks good? Will we see him back in the Belmont? We got plenty of time to dissect all of that. We'll be bringing you a lot of coverage, a lot of information, and we hope you enjoy the ride with us, because if you ride with us, remember, if you're a member of Tracking Trips, you ride with Past the Wire TV, you won't starve. That's for sure. And remember, like I say, knowledge is not free. You have to pay attention. I did also want to bring something else out that was so articulately and eloquently brought to my attention on social media. I referenced Pimlico as having tight turns. Mistake. They're not really tight. They're about the same as Churchill Downs. It's also historically been known as a speed track. It's very honest. I thought the track played honest on Preakness Day, and it does tend to play honest. But it always had that reputation as a track with tight turns and speed favoring. It's an honest track. I've always felt that way. I think historically, you can see that. And as far as the turns, the main difference is they're about the same as Churchill Downs, but they play a little different. They play tighter because they're not banked. Churchill Downs tracks are banked. Pimlico's are not. I probably should have said that and been a little bit more clear on that, but my bad. I'll do better with that going forward. But takeaways that we could really benefit from, I don't know just yet. The only one that I would have to say pay good attention to is don't give up on Tuscan Gold, because all that glitters isn't always gold, but he just still may be. So I would not give up on him at any. Just no way. Not at this point. He's a nice racehorse, and I think that's going to come out. So thanks for watching our little Preakness wrap up. Congratulations again to a phenomenal win by Coach Dwayne Lukas. Don't be surprised if you see Tuscan Gold run back into Belmont at Saratoga. Don't be surprised if the Belmont is run at Saratoga the next 2 or 3 years and the construction is not finished. And don't be surprised if they keep it at 1.25 miles and don't move it back to 1.5 miles. We'll talk more about the Met Mile coming out of that chute as we get closer to the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. These shows are brought to you by Amwager, amwager.com. Great promos, great platform, great tools. Check them out. Tell them I sent you. P6K from Past the Wire. They'll appreciate it. They'll treat you good. And we will see you soon. So, ciao for now.
Nobody does it better.